this week's gathering on Friday, November 5th, 2021. I invite us to begin by listening to these words from St. Paul in his first letter to the Corinthians. There are different varieties of gifts, but the same Spirit. There are different kinds of service, but the same Lord. There are different forms of activity, but the same God who produces all of them in everyone. To each of us, the manifestation of the Spirit is given for the common good. To one is given through the Spirit the utterance of wisdom, and to another the utterance of knowledge according to that same Spirit. Another, by the same Spirit, is granted faith, while still another is granted the gift of healing by that same Spirit. To one is granted the gift of mighty deeds, to another the gift of prophecy, and to yet another the gift to discern spirits. One receives the gift of tongues, and another the ability to interpret them. One and the same Spirit works all these, distributing them individually to each person as they will it. You, therefore, are the body of Christ, and each of you is part of it. And those whom God has appointed as apostles, prophets, teachers, doers of mighty deeds, those who have the gifts of healing, helping others, administering, and various kinds of tongues. Are all apostles? Are all prophets? Are all teachers? Are all doers of mighty deeds? Do all possess gifts of healing? Do all speak in tongues? Do all interpret? Set your heart on the greater gifts. Finding it difficult to give words to the message for today. And perhaps to begin that message, I will just acknowledge that we are in a time of some chaotic energies. There are energies of disturbance about and disruptive energies that seem to be infiltrating and disturbing our ability to find ground and to find that place of center and focus and that place of decisive action. As I'm allowing these words to flow, It is putting us in a position of being changeable in a sense, preparing us to be ready at a moment's notice to move, to accept change. To follow the path that is being set before us as it is set before us in the moment. We have been through a significant period of death and dying as we have witnessed and watched the collapse of, as one person put it to me today, they feel as if they have lost their humanity. My response was, you haven't lost your humanity. What's happened is that the veils have come off and we've been forced to see the underbelly of humanity. The worst of what humanity can be, the worst of how humanity can act. As we've discussed in the circle before, it's a horrifying experience to have to witness that. At the same time, we are acutely aware that this is a symptom of the death throes. And we've been witnessing and holding space for a lot of death, whether it be physical death in the loss of loved ones or friends, whether it be metaphoric death in the severing or parting of relationships, whether it be a macrocosmic death in the sense of structures and institutions collapsing in on themselves by their own weight. And this has been the focus of our journey for quite some time, has really been to be priestesses and priests of death. Not bringing that death about necessarily, but allowing ourselves to bear witness, to feel the grief, carry that grief, and to allow that dying to be transmuted in and through us so that, number one, the dying systems might be freed to die, and so that space might be cleared for something new to come in. Threshing floor is a term that's showing up for me right now. I don't know what that specifically means or what it has to do with this, but it's a word. And this journey has been heavy, painful. And the gift in this journey has been in finding one another, finding others of like mind, of like temperament, of like interest, of like calling. The calling to be and hold the world in its dying and preparing for something new. As we have come through the Samhain, Halloween, Dios de la Muertes, I know I'm butchering that, All Saints Day, All Souls Day, as we've come through that threshold, as we've moved through the passageway from one time into liminal time, as we honor that which has passed, as we celebrate the love that has been present in that, as we bear witness to the grief, finding ourselves on the other side of the passageway, there's a mixture of both relief and chaos. Chaos in the sense of, okay, some things have come to an end, but what's new? And the new not yet necessarily being defined or obvious or apparent. Relief in the sense that there is a burden that we've had an opportunity to let go of, to release, to set down, to say, I'm done with that. And there's a real cosmic energy around completion right now. And that cosmic energy is addressing specifically the completion of perhaps a soul contract or a karmic arrangement, something that we've agreed to and have lived through up to this point in our lives, but which perhaps is done, or at least done on some level. That doneness creates the space, the openness for something new. And that as we sit in this place of not yet ripe, not fully emerged from a cocoon, or maybe not emerged at all, as we sit in that place of unknown, one of the pieces that has come through as an invitation is to let that past go and to turn our attention towards ourselves. And this attention turning is a specific one. And it is a turning toward a recognition and awareness, and perhaps a honing or narrowing of our gifts. Many, if not the majority of those in this circle, have had an opportunity to journey through the What's Your Magic course that I offer, that is part of the Magdalene Priestess training and also a standalone course. And in that class, you've had an opportunity to explore spiritual gifts and to look at what are your gifts, what aren't your gifts, and what is the hierarchy of those gifts. And what I mean by that is, in the number of years that I've been sharing this work, what I've come to understand is that each of us has one or two, maybe three, what I would call primary gifts. It's the strongest way in which spirit works through us. We know those primary gifts because of their effortlessness. It's these gifts, the primary gifts, come to us effortlessly. And when we engage in them, it happens in a free-flowing, effortless, expansive kind of way. And we're energized and enthused in the participation with and sharing of those gifts. Doesn't mean that these gifts don't require practice, because everything's better with practice. But it is a different kind of practice than the practice we would use to hone a skill, for example. And the best way I can explain this is in my own life. Discernment of spirits is one of my primary gifts, and it's easy. I can tell when someone's lying. I know what's good, what's bad. It I have about 100% accuracy in reading people. The problem has only been not trusting that accuracy, not trusting that gift. So the gift has required practice in that the practice has been trusting what I feel, trusting what I know, and then observing and bearing witness to the truth of that being revealed and confirmed. That is a primary gift. In contrast to one of my, I guess, talents or skills that I've developed is that I can play piano. I took piano lessons for most of 12 years and have played since I was 5 years old. So I can play, but I can play because I practiced. And it requires effort and diligent dedication. And while I find comfort and peacefulness in playing, helps me come into a meditative state, I would by no way, shape, or form believe or think that anyone is being transformed when I'm playing piano, because they're not. They might be wishing they were listening to someone that was more accomplished. So my piano is for me. That's my own playing for my own enjoyment. Whereas discernment of spirits is something that is in support of my service to the world. And other people are supported and transformed through the use of my gifts, because it's often with that gift that I'm able to see the inner obstacles that are keeping people from really being free in their life. Obstacles that maybe they are not aware of yet themselves. So at this place of having come through the passageway of Samhain and coming into movement toward the beginning of a new year, a new calendar year, not calendar year, planetary year, December 21st, 22nd, wherever the solstice lands, we're invited to reflect more deeply on what are our gifts. What are our gifts? And which of those gifts, or which of those numbers of gifts, are coming forward asking to be seen more clearly and to be attended to more diligently and to be shared more openly and more freely. It is my deep sense that it is our primary gifts that are calling to be seen, that are calling and asking to be employed, to be the focus of the service that we offer to the world. So for our meditation and reflection today, I'm going to invite us to take 15, 20 minutes. Let's go with 20 minutes. Take 20 minutes to reflect on what your gifts are. Taking a moment maybe to brainstorm, to write down a list of what you think those gifts might be. Knowledge, wisdom, teaching, healing, prophecy, counsel. Are you a visionary? Are you an administrator? You have the charism of writing or craftsmanship, which would be visual arts or visual artisanry. I think I just made up a word. taking 20 minutes to reflect on what your gifts are. And as you're compiling that list, to pay attention to that which really wants to be seen. Is there a specific gift or a few gifts that are asking for your attention, that are wanting to be noticed more acutely, that are asking that your focus be on those gifts? So I'll pause the recording at this time and let's take 20 minutes to take time